On March 7th, 2023, I traveled from my humble abode on the Upper East Side to Park Place on the Lower East Side to visit Church Street Boxing Gym. Nearly 10 years ago, I entered Church Street Boxing Gym for the first time as a timid 14-year-old. After years of bullying in school and not thinking I was athletic, I had little to no hope in any future in boxing. After some convincing from my father, I decided to give boxing a try. Under one circumstance, I would by no means be competing. After training for a month, I found myself in the ring with a man nearly twice my age preparing to spar for the first time. To my surprise, and everyone else's in the gym, I did very well. This positive experience inspired me to continue my journey boxing at Church Street Boxing Gym. I continued training and competing until I began college. Through boxing, I was able to gain confidence in myself and venture out and try other new things that I had always dreamed of doing, including photography and later on in college, filmmaking and podcasting. Thanks to boxing, I was able to overcome fears like public speaking. Stepping into the ring, it felt almost like I had never left. Growing up as a kid who was bullied for having a lisp, I never dreamed that I would be able to host a radio show or even do a voiceover like the one I am doing right now. And as I stood here in Church Street Boxing Gym, I kept thinking of who I am today and how boxing has changed me from the moment I stepped into this gym. But today, I am not here to talk about myself. I'm here to let other boxers tell you their stories on how they started boxing and how boxing has saved their lives.
I think I just liked it a lot and was really passionate about getting it right and being true to the form and the art. And I think the fact that it is an art is really important to me. It's where I express myself through creativity or emotions, whatever it is. But when I started competing, I definitely took it to another level. I realized that the sacrifices that were necessary to compete were pretty high. And after my first fight, I was more than happy to make those sacrifices. They didn't feel like sacrifices much anymore. So I guess for about a year and 6 or 7 months now, I've felt kind of all in, as you'd say, just because I want to see what I can do if I give it my all. Thai boxing and competing is full of lessons, especially the training portion of it. Balancing wins and losses on a daily basis, in the ring, out of the ring, teaches you a whole lot about who you are and what you truly want out of life. anytime you take on the responsibility of something like a huge goal that you're really serious about, failure and success become really real. And while that's daunting, it gives me purpose and like a value structure.
Hey, that's it.
I'm somebody that thrives under pressure and thrives under challenges, and you know, when people tell me I can't do something, that's when I do a little bit more to make sure that I can prove everybody wrong. You know, when I got into boxing, just trying to stay active. I remember the first time I sparred, I had a moment where I was like, do you really want to do this or not? And, you know, I chose obviously to stick with it and give it my all, and that's where I'm at right now.
When I was 18, I moved to Florida because I was getting into a lot of trouble. Came back, and then I wanted to fight. I wanted to be in the gym. So my dad got me a job at the sports club, teaching classes, and I started training here competitively. And for the most part, you know, you just start seeing little shifts. Like, obviously the money's nice, the freedom is nice when you're a trainer, but also like mentally, the things that used to bother me or situations I would find myself in weren't a thing anymore, because you know, your focus is elsewhere now. Now I'm focused on getting better. I'm focused on being in the gym. Even just hanging out in the boxing gym honestly saved my life. Like, I wasn't in my neighborhood where stupid shit is happening. I'm in the gym where everybody has like the same kind of goal. And that's not just me. There's like a million people I vibed with for like decades. Like, I know people for like a decade over, and same shit. It's just they got out of worse situations just being at the gym. So ultimately, when I started taking it seriously, you're just not in the wrong place at the wrong time, and your head is starting to shift gears a little bit on what's important.
As a whole, I've learned a lot about myself. You know, if you've ever competed at something at a high level, you've definitely had that moment where, you know, you ask yourself, is this really what you want? And if you haven't asked yourself that, in at least my opinion, I don't know if you're pushing yourself as much as you possibly can. You know, when you push yourself, you know, one of my tattoos that I have, strength is the will to keep going when everyone would understand if you fell apart. You know, that is something that, you know, is something that I feel a lot when I'm competing at a high level. You know, a lot of times people will see people and try and compare themselves. It's when you're in that moment, when you're going against somebody or something that gives you a real challenge, when you hit that point, that's when you have to decide, is this for you or not? Everybody can look good when they're not tired. Anybody can look good if they're sparring against somebody who is a couple weight classes below them or a couple levels below them. It's when you're in there, and not just boxing, just when you're in there with somebody who's able to give you a real challenge, when you hit that point, that stalemate point, it's what you do from there is what determines the kind of person, the kind of character, the kind of heart that you have. And you know, I challenge myself every time. Every time I hit that point where it's like, you know, what are you gonna do now? I challenge myself to kind of test my own strength, to kind of see how far I can push myself, how far I can go. And I love betting on myself. I love it. You know, a lot of things are out of your control, but what you do is in your control. So I'll always bet on myself, and I've realized that, you know, competing in boxing, just kind of competing with all other sports at a high level, really, you know, leaning in on that. I wanna see what kind of, anybody can tell me that they're strong. Let's see when you're at that breaking point. Let's see what you got left. Let's see what you're able to, you know, muster it up and produce once you're at that point where you're tired, or at that point where you're equally matched, or even someone's better than you. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you can produce when you're at that true point where it's a test of how strong you really are. And you know, that's what I've leaned in on, and I like what I've been doing so far.
The one lesson I've learned more than anything is to stand up. Stand up for myself, stand up for what I want, and not necessarily stand up to the world, right? I'm not talking about being confrontational with the world for yourself. I'm talking to myself like, yo, LG, stand up for yourself to you. Be who you want to be. When you want to be a killer and a winner, be that. It pays to be who you want to be, you know? Don't go with the crowds. Do what you know is right. Do what you know is going to make you a winner.